Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I want to share a revelation I had recently about John 8, 1 through 11, the woman caught in adultery. And I'm just going to get to it, okay? Now, this is kind of personal revelation. We have a brother named Anthony Patch. I haven't really seen him on YouTube a lot lately, but him and his wife, a long time ago, I remember sharing a revelation. His wife said, Yah gave her was in John 8 when Yeshua was writing in the sand. In the story of the woman caught in adultery to the scribes and Pharisees, he was really writing in gematria. Recently I was listening to the audiobook of John, and this came up. And I always had that in mind. I never knew if it was exactly true, but over the past couple months, I've realized in the biblical revelation that adultery is also a symbolism of idolatry. Like when we read in Hosea, and throughout the books of the prophets, when people are accused of harlotry or adultery, yes, that is sexual sin, but it also means worshiping false gods. So, and they go kind of hand in hand. And that's something I haven't really figured out, how that reflects in the natural to the spiritual. But so with that revelation, and John 8 makes a lot of sense when we know that that woman caught in adultery is really also a reflection of pagan worship, right? And the woman could also represent like a type of wife. We see that in scripture a lot. And so that means like this woman is someone who is married to a pagan deity, right? Okay, you follow me? This does make sense. So that's a way to see John 8. And with that revelation, when he was writing in the sand, excuse me, he was really writing gematria. The scribes and Pharisees, who were serpents and vipers, the synagogue of Satan, he was writing in their satanic language. So through that lens, the story makes sense. So I wanted to share that, meditate on it, read it on your own. But as I was meditating on this, most of us understand that everything in the Gospels, everything in the Bible, everything written in the Gospels is prophecy, right? Nothing is insignificant. It's not insignificant that chapter 8 starts with Yeshua went on to the Mount of Olives, and early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came unto him and sat down and taught them. Now, I believe this is prophecy. I can't prove this, but this is what I think. Okay, so I'm just going to share my revelation. Yeshua is on the Mount of Olives. We also see him on the Mount of Olives in Matthew 24, and he talks about the end of time and his second coming, when he actually returns and touches the ground, and that event is going to take place right where he was sitting down talking about that. So it's not a far-fetched to think that this is also future prophecy, likely of his second coming. So we know Jesus is going to touch down the Mount of Olives on his second coming at the end of the tribulation. That event is going to kill the Antichrist. It's going to start the war of Armageddon with 144,000, the Battle of Armageddon. And with that revelation, it actually makes sense to think that and early in the morning, he came again into the temple, and all the people came unto him. He sat down and taught them, because the Antichrist, right, he's going to be ruling from the temple. Early in the morning, the day star rises in our hearts as we shine brighter and brighter onto that perfect day. That early in the morning represents when Jesus first touches the earth. So it actually pieces together. It's really amazing through this lens. So, and when you know what it's going to be like in that great tribulation, the Antichrist is going to deceive many, even the saints, I'm not getting into post-trib rapture stuff, but probably people who were newly saved during the Great Tribulation. He's going to deceive them. They're going to follow him, and he's going to persecute them. It's going to be a whole thing. And so it makes sense that the saints are going to be following idolatry. Okay, we could learn about this in the Psalms of Solomon. I mean, just deep, deep revelation. Okay, so for those who have the ears to hear, let them hear. The Apocalypse of Elijah is a good book to listen to. I have all these on my YouTube. They're very easy to find. To understand what it's going to be like during the Antichrist, and it gets into this. So with this understanding, we could see that this woman in idolatry is likely a saint, someone who belongs to God, who is deceived in the times of the Antichrist. And the scribes and Pharisees, I don't know. So the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery, and when he sat in her in the midst, and they said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what sayest you? This they said, tempting him that they might have accused him. But Yeshua stooped down with his finger and wrote on the ground as though he heard them. So we know with this revelation that he wrote down in gematria, and the revelation that adultery and harlotry is actually a reflection of paganism. I don't know. It's really amazing reading this through this lens, and I think this is unlocking future prophecy when Jesus first comes, touches upon the earth on the Mount of Olives after the Battle of Armageddon, and he's dealing with the remnant of the mess that has been caused from the Antichrist. Yeah. So basically, I just want to share that revelation. I'm just going to leave you guys with the scriptures, and you can meditate on it yourselves. And it's very interesting how the scribes and Pharisees went out one by one, beginning from the oldest to the least. And Yeshua was left alone with that woman standing in the midst. And, we all know these scriptures. Who condemns you? No one here condemns you. And he says, neither do I condemn you, sin no more. So, I don't know. I think we're on to something here. It's a pretty cool revelation. So, okay. I pray this is a blessing, guys. Thanks for tuning in and bearing with me. I know I'm kind of all over the place. Thanks, guys. Good night.